Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making this triangular diamond ZZ fold card. It goes back on itself like a regular ZZ, but because it's cut on a triangle, we put the greeting on a slant, so it makes quite an interesting diamond. I've gone with a more masculine theme today. I'm actually started my Zoom kit classes, and one of those is a masculine theme, so if you stay tuned till the end you'll hear more details about that. So without further ado, let's get started and I'll show you how to make this one. It's deliciously easy actually. So it needs a piece of regular cardstock, and it's 11 by 4 1/4. That's the standard size, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So that's pretty much, you know, fits in a good old regular envelope. But it's also scored at 2 1/8, and that's what folds back. So we'll give that a good crease with the bone folder. And then in order to make the triangle, I'll bring in the paper cutter, and we're going to mark the middle of this at 2 1/8. So the easiest way to do it was to line it up at 2 1/8. And get pencil, and just where the paper cutting trough is, that's obviously where the mark would be. So popped a little pencil mark on there, and I'm going to cut from, move it over a little bit, and cut it from that pencil mark down to the score line, and that chops off one of the triangles. And then we'll put it in the other way, and we'll go from the other side of the score line back down to the triangle, and that will make an even point. Just like that. I'll pop the paper trimmer away now because we don't need that anymore. And then what we're going to do is bring in some designer series paper, and it's a 4-inch strip I cut off. So we've got the 4 inches wide, and I cut the full 12 inches. This is 5 1/4, which goes in as usual for that layer. And then I cut 2 3-inch pieces, and there was a little slither left, which I've set aside because quite often I do those cards where you get all your little ends and you make something pretty interesting. So let me go ahead and put this in. This designer series paper is actually from Winter Meadow. It was one that was in the holiday mini catalogue, but lucky for us it got carried over, so you can still order it. It's an online orderable item. So I didn't need the little rose hips, but I did like the fact that it matched perfectly with the pretty peacock paper, because that does have a nice masculine vibe. So we'll put one piece of the 3 by 4 on the inside, and then we'll put the other piece on the outside. And like I say, it's wonderfully easy, so I do like it, but I think it's very effective. And quite often, I don't know about you guys, but I struggle sometimes with masculine cards because so many of the stamp sets and the papers are floral and pretty. Not that guys can't have floral or pretty cards, don't get me wrong, but just sometimes it's nice to be able to do something that's got a bit more of a masculine vibe. So then I'm going to bring in a little piece of Lost Lagoon, which is a lighter refrain of the pretty peacock, I feel. And I'm going to be using the Trucking Along bundle. It's the Trucking Along stamp set and the Trucking Along truck punch. So, oh, I've already got it out. I just brought that in to show you. So Trucking Along punch, and I'm going to be using the truck. Lots of trucks there. Trucking Along, truck punch, truck stamp, and I will stamp it onto the Lost Lagoon with the pretty peacock ink. Make sure we've got some nice coverage. Give it a nice stamp and close this ink pad because we don't actually need it anymore. I'm going to show you a little trick. So we'll pop that into the punch and punch it out. It does punch other little elements, wheels and such, which we don't need, but I can't avoid punching those as well. So it's a little bit of a powerful punch, but there we have it. Put that piece off to one side. And then what you need over and above the cardstock and the designer series paper are 2 squares cut at 2 3/4 inches each. One for the front and one goes on the inside. But because they're diagonal, the truck will fit on there quite nicely. But I wanted to put a greeting and I didn't have happy birthday that was separate. So what I've done is I brought in the artistically inked, because the happy birthday stamp in that one has just enough of a gap in between. If you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, every month when it comes, you get a little spot in each kit that's relevant to the colour scheme of whatever the kit is. Now, as you saw, I used my big pad, and quite often when I do run overs of the extras and the alternate ideas of the Paper Pumpkin, I'll bring this one in just because it gives more coverage. What we actually need right now is a little bit of less coverage. So I'm going to use my spot. You can use the big pad, of course, or you could use the marker because it will cover it just the same. But this just has that little extra bit of control. So I'm going to line up the paper on my grid paper just so I can make sure that I've got it sort of even, because if the paper's off and I stamp it straight, it will go on skew. So I'm going to just stamp just the birthday. And like I said, this stamp conveniently has a little bit of a gap in between. So I've only inked up the birthday, and because it's an acrylic block, we can see through to where it will land on the front. Give that a good press, and then I'm just going to wash it quickly, because of course we don't want that to appear when we do the happy. So turn it round and do the same thing. Ink just the happy, and you can get really close. And then again, because we'll line it up so we can see that it's even, and then because it's the acrylic block, I'm just going to pull that down a little bit so my head doesn't get too much into the shot. And I've got a bit of a shadow going on there. There we go, that's easier. So I'm going to put the happy at the top, and that's all we get. And because we didn't ink up the birthday, it didn't go across anywhere. So pop the cap back on the little spot, and now we can get assembling the card. So this is going to go point to point on the fold back, so you've got this nice little edge. And as always with our ZZ fold techniques, we will line the points up the other way around so we can see how far we can put the adhesive. Oops. So we'll roll that down so we know that's as far as it can go. And just put some extra at the side, and then we're going to line up these 2 points and make sure it's evenly spaced, or as evenly spaced as we can get it. And the 2 3/4 inches means that it doesn't protrude further over than the edge of the card, otherwise it wouldn't fit into the envelope. And then we're going to put the inside in, but we don't want the front to be exceeded by the inside. So the easiest way to do that is to lay it in place. Well, we don't actually have to lay it in place to put the adhesive on. So we'll put some adhesive on the back of it. Just clear the space so it looks a bit neater. And then we will line up this square, this diamond, with the edges of the front. Hold it down and close the card onto it. Give it a quick little rub, and now it's in the right side. And the last step is just to pop some dimensionals on and stick that, oops, onto the front. And I think that's quite a nice little masculine-ish, guyish card. Plenty space to write inside. and it nicely uses the designer series paper, which coordinates with the cardstock. I did actually make what I would call a more girly version with the delightful floral. It's an online designer series paper. It's actually a bundle. You can buy the stamps and the dies. This one I just fussy cut actually out of the paper, so exactly the same concept. It's just got the paper on the inside and the outside, and it folds over nicely. So if you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing or give me a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. If you've got a question or you want to pass a comment, you can pop those in the box below. I'll always try to answer everyone, or respond to your comments or answer your questions. I'll put the dimensions and any pertinent information in the description box as usual. The Zoom get-togethers that I'm doing, they're going to be at the end of each month on a Wednesday. It needs 2 weeks lead time, so all you have to do is RSVP. If you look on my website, if you go to the calendar, you can check out when they are, and all the details about each event is listed in there. But typically they're the last or the second to last Wednesday of each month, and I ask for a 2-week RSVP just to make sure that I've got enough supplies for everyone. And that's it. If you want any more information over and above that, you can email me. Absolutely no obligation. I hate to think people wouldn't want to ask me a question or email me because they think I'm going to hound them. It's just simply not my way. Ask me a question, I'll give you the answer, and then I will leave you to decide. Of course, I hope yes is the answer, but I won't be going, are you coming? Are you? Are you? Because it's just simply not my way. I just want to give you the information and keep my fingers firmly crossed that you would want to join in and have fun with me and the rest of the participants. So there you go. 2 nice masculine cards, 1 girly card, I think. Quick and easy to make. Thank you so much for watching.